Generally, we should avoid high kilojoule foods. Is there a reason behind that?
Yeah, so we want to, firstly, we're getting poor energy foods in. So when we're talking about higher kilojoule or high energy foods, we're talking generally high sugar foods. So, but saying that, there's a really good place and a time for a sports drink or a Mars bar at a particular point, generally after training, or maybe towards the end of a hard session or at the end of a race. So, but generally we want to be having really good, like we said before, complex carbohydrates, so they'll generally be lower in kilojoules and the same as really good protein type foods.
Can we talk a little bit about coffee and caffeine and the impact it can play on our performance?
Yeah, so there's no doubt now that caffeine, again, it's balancing it right, but caffeine, coffee, flat Coke, the triathletes have done that for a long time, I guess, so we can get some really good, essentially arousal levels just to heighten. So again, before... thought I'd turn it off actually.
We'll do that one again.
Yeah, edit that one.
So
how long's this gone for?
I don't know. All right. So with coffee and caffeine, how long? What role can that play in?
Yeah, so
training?
It can be really useful, especially before you're going for a run or a workout, or in that middle towards the end of a run. So it can heighten arousal levels and essentially get you up and about. So it's balancing that, and that might be in a coffee, a Coke, or a caffeine shot tablet. So there can be some benefits to that. Again, you don't want to go overboard with that. So
yep.
A little bit of this is actually experimenting carefully to see what works for you and the timing, and because what works for me will be different to you, and so on. So that's really important.
So I guess the last question is for runners who are starting, competing in their first distance, or for, they're going a little bit further. What the sort of things they can they be consuming during the runs, especially our long runs?
Yep.
What sort of things, and what should they be trying to?
Yep. Well, one of Chris's favourites, the white Vegemite sandwich, and so that's a really good one. So it's easy to digest. Certainly some of your gels can be useful. Again, making sure your hydration's right, and that might be a time where you actually have some Staminade or a Powerade mix, so you can get some. So generally it's hydration during your runs. Again, very different if it's going to be a hot, longer run. A banana, so it might be half a banana. So it's really finding those. So all those things we just said really will have a combination of carbohydrates and protein, and that's the key. And it's essentially, I think the key point on that, Chris, is we can't use any of that food till it's actually digested. So they need to be, and that's why we spoke before about a smoothie, for instance, or half a Vegemite sandwich. It can, it will be, your body starts to digest it within sort of an hour probably, and not before that. So the quicker that happens, the more benefit we get.
Yep. Yeah. And last one, I guess, is during our long runs for hydration. Is there an amount that they should be trying to aim for with taking in fluid on our long runs?
Well, we talk about a kilo to sweat loss. So essentially, for every litre, don't know what I've just messed that up. Chris, too. We need to edit that too.
So
what did we say?
All right. So yeah. So I reckon it's 250 mils.
You're right. About every 20 minutes. So,
yeah. And last question is, before we finish, what's in relation to hydration during our long runs? Is there a guideline of how much they should be consuming? Yeah,
so as a basic, you look at between sort of 200 to 250 mils. So essentially a glass every about 15 to 20 minutes. And that'll be similar to, what a Gatorade or a Powerade bottle will say. So, and that works out around about a litre or so over an hour. So again, it's gradual. So your Camelback drink packs, bottles, those things really become crucial because you can actually sip along the way on your longer runs. So, yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Chris.